Welcome to the Centre for Legal Innovation's Legal Techy Tuesday series. We are very excited to have Mapa Madhawa, CEO and founder of Evenor, here with us today. Mapa will be demonstrating Evenor's internal resourcing platform, which maximises workforce utilisation through the power of data. Again, welcome. Fabulous to have you here. And now over to Mapa.
Thank you very much, Christine. Just to start off with, I'd just like to extend my thanks for everyone that joined today, as well as the Centre for Legal Innovation and Christine and Terry for giving me the opportunity to present. So my name is Mapa. I'm the founder of Evenor, and Evenor is basically a work allocation tool and an internal resourcing platform where we try to leverage data to optimise the way work is allocated. So to begin, I thought I'd just give a brief agenda of what I'm going to be presenting today. So I'll start off with a background of how and why I created Evenor, the benefits and challenges that a tool like Evenor creates for organisations that want to use it, particularly law firms. Some of the key features that Evenor specifically has, which will flow on nicely into the actual live platform demonstration. So, in terms of a little bit of context, I actually created Evenor after my own experiences, having worked at large-scale law firms. And at the moment, in fact, I'm working at Herbert Smith Freehills as a lawyer, and have had previous experience working as a paralegal in the past at various firms such as Ashurst and Cause. And I really found one thing in common, which was that the work tended to get allocated and distributed very unevenly. And a lot of the teams often operated and worked within silos. You'd quite often get your work from the same people, whether that be your direct superior, people you've worked for before, or perhaps people within your direct vicinity. And there was really no visibility between those teams. And so what, as a result, used to happen is there used to be a very uneven distribution of work. So sometimes you'd have people twiddling thumbs, not really doing much at all, and people within the same team, getting worked absolutely flat out. And so, as you can understand, something like that isn't very efficient for an organisation, and it's extremely rigid and chaotic. And it was also littered with various sort of other challenges, such as having unconscious biases. I guess that's speaking to more of, if you happen to have a better relationship with your superiors or go out perhaps on a Friday night for drinks, then you were, inherently more likely to get better work. And it's been statistically proven that male partners are more inclined to give male juniors better work. And so that is, I guess, the issue and the problem that we set out to solve with Evenor. And, for a lot of firms, not even law firms, but professional services firms in general, that's an issue that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so that's the reason why we've created Evenor. And with Evenor, we try to connect the right people within an organisation with the most relevant opportunities based on actual data. So things such as a person's skills, experience, previous experience, availability, as well as interests, and that tends to get overlooked quite a bit. And particularly right now, with everyone working from home, we found that more and more work is being distributed unevenly, and there's actually even less visibility between teams, because obviously you're having less physical interaction with each other. And Evenor is really just a perfect tool to manage and foster greater collaboration within those teams. So in terms of benefits and challenges with tools like Evenor in general, I think some of the benefits speak for themselves. So I touched on fostering greater collaboration. I can speak to this personally. Sometimes through the use of Evenor, you might work with people you haven't worked with before in the past, and probably wouldn't have if it weren't for the tool. You're able to connect people not only within the same team, but also across multiple different offices, sometimes within Australia, but also throughout the entire globe, and naturally that leads to expanding your internal networks. I I know a user story through Evenor where someone got a very discrete, simple task to proofread an agreement from someone in a different office, different location. And after having completed that and proven, that they were, I guess, competent enough to do that, basically it acted as a new source of work for that person, and it cultivated a brand new connection and network. And really that was only possible through the power of Evenor. If it weren't for that, you'd quite often find partners or people delegating work just revert to ordinarily sending an email to people that are perhaps just within their team in their location. And so, this has the power to connect an organisation, to foster collaboration and expand those internal networks, which is inherently extremely valuable for large-scale organisations and big law firms, obviously. And so it also increases the efficiency and productivity of doing work. I think I noted earlier where sometimes you have people getting absolutely slammed working, into the night, whereas other people within the same team actually find themselves twiddling their thumbs most of the day. And the reason for that is lack of visibility. And with Evenor, you're able to share around that workload, and have people working at a constant sort of level of productivity and not sort of experiencing burnout as a result of working too hard. And I guess that also leads to greater employee engagement and satisfaction when you have a greater certainty and comfortability with balancing your work-life balance. And I guess that also speaks to the fact that it takes into consideration people's interests in allocating that work. And I'll obviously go into greater detail in the demonstration, but like I said earlier, that's something that tends to get overlooked. And in terms of avoiding miscommunication, as a junior, quite often the person delegating the work sometimes doesn't even know what they want to get done. And so, when a tool like Evenor exists, it really forces the person who's requesting the work to be done to actually think about, hang on, what do I need them to do? What are the key sort of key things that I need to put down so that the person can actually get the work done as effectively and as efficiently as possible. And finally, in terms of data, we're able to collect data on sort of the tasks being completed, the people doing those tasks, and that can all help optimize, the way work is being allocated, but also help facilitate things like annual reviews for employees better. And so all of that is, I guess, just the benefits of it. In terms of challenges, I think the biggest challenge for not only Evenor, but tools like Evenor is change management. And I think a lot of people in sort of the legal tech space will speak to this. It doesn't really matter how great the technology is if people don't use it. And so Evenor has put a lot of time and resources into really figuring out how to best ensure, that an organization adopts it. And it's challenging because it's not just getting the lawyers and the junior staff onto a platform like this. It's ensuring that there's a constant flow of work from partners and senior associates. And so just to speak to a couple of things we've done, the design and the platform and the user interface is super simple, very intuitive. You can really just jump on and really figure out exactly the two core things, which is how to post a task, get on there and put some work requests through, and how to apply a task. And you'll see how simple it is when I go through the demo. And we've also embedded sort of the workflow into existing tools so that it doesn't require partners and seniors to almost learn a new tool, which is we've found is often the case, particularly nowadays with change fatigue. So that's the reason why our tool, it embeds with Microsoft Teams and Outlook, but also sends out emails. So the way it works is obviously by sending out, if someone posts tasks, it sends out a targeted email request to everyone that fits the description for that particular work request. And so it lands straight in your inbox, doesn't require you to log on to Evenor again to apply for the task, and you all of a sudden have, all of a sudden have visibility of the work that needs to be done between teams. We also have created a thing called a delegates feature, and that's taking it a step further because, sometimes a partner, they like the idea, but really just don't want to have anything to do with it. And basically what the delegates feature does is it allows a partner to delegate their ability to post a task to someone else. So they might delegate that ability to either a secretary, personal assistant, or someone junior to their team, and they can then go on. So the junior or the personal assistant can then go on behalf of the partner and post a task on the platform. And so basically, the partner will continue to sort of get the emails in relation to people who are interested to do the work, but they don't actually have to go and do the most tedious aspect of this whole process, which is to post the task itself. And finally, obviously, robust change management strategies. We've had multiple experiences rolling this tool out at multiple firms, and obviously it is different from team to team, but we've been able to sort of learn quite a lot to understand what the best way is to roll it out. For example, having single sign-on is absolutely integral, making it embedded and integrated into current workflows as much as possible, as well as other soft things such as having proper training and other things. So I'd be happy to speak to that if anyone's actually interested in rolling it out at their firm. So moving on, I think I'll just quickly cover the key features of Evenor, and then I can flesh it out in the actual demonstration so that it all sort of makes sense and come back full circle. So I guess the key feature that I spoke about earlier is to post targeted tasks. You can fill out a form which has certain mandatory fields which need to be filled out, and you can specify who you want to target, and it'll send out targeted emails to only the people that fit that requisite criteria. So, the whole idea around this is, working at a large law firm, quite often you get desensitized to a lot of the emails that end up in your inbox because there's just so much getting sent to you, and most often than not it's not even relevant to you and you just skim read it and get rid of it. But with a tool like Evenor and the ability to send targeted tasks, you'll know that if you get an email from Evenor, that it's an opportunity that's specifically relevant to you based on your skills, your past experience, your capacity and availability, as well as your interests. So that's really been able to cut through a lot of the irrelevant and unnecessary emails that people tend to get. And I'll demonstrate how this works in the live demo, obviously. We've also created searchable internal resumes. And this is really the data we leverage to send those targeted posts, work requests out. But it also acts as a comprehensive, searchable and fully indexed database of everyone's skills, experience, and knowledge, in which people can go and leverage for whatever they need. Sometimes you may be looking for a specific skill set or previous work experience, and really right now how it happens is very ad hoc. You go to maybe a partner who may or may not know what their juniors have been working on, and more often than not a lot of those previous experiences are unknown, and even skills, like for example, no one at my current firm necessarily knows that I have good skills in Excel or can code or anything like that. So it provides a very easy to use platform and structured way of sort of displaying all of that knowledge within the firm. We're also able to track real-time capacity. Obviously, this is a critical point, particularly with everyone working from home, where you don't really have that ability to just pop your head out and ask whether you have capacity to help out. And teams are trying, we found teams have been trying to run daily meetings to get an idea of capacity, but it's never really real time, is it? And the benefit we have with our platform is that because the flow of work is linked to the platform, we can almost automate this to a certain extent. So if you take on a task and you've been assigned to do a task, then we can start to get an indication as to what that capacity is in real time. And obviously, depending on how firms use it, we evolve it to sort of align with their workplace practices. And we found it does change from firm to firm as well as team to team. But at a very basic high level, we found this is really beneficial, and also as a means of targeting people. So, you can actually target the task based on capacity. So if it's just people who are available, you'd get a smaller subset of people, and almost, once again, make sure you cut through and not send emails to people who are already busy and probably not able to assist you in any case. Integrations with Microsoft Outlook and Teams, we've got, like I said, just to help out with the change management aspect of things, analytics dashboard so that management can get a better idea as to how work is being allocated, the amount of hours being completed through the platform. And I guess that takes us nicely into a platform demo. So I'm going to now give you a live demo of the platform. I've put together a demo environment. So this is the platform, and what it looks like. And the front page is the front page. People have single sign-on on their computer. So all they have to do is log into their computer and they'll have an account automatically created once they log on to the dedicated URL. And right at the start, up front page, you have all of the tasks which have been posted, and they've been filtered based on due date, because obviously tasks which are most urgent need to get the most attention. And so if it's due sooner, then you'll see it right at the top. And honestly, it's as simple as going here and clicking apply to express your interest that you can help out with this particular task. Like I said, quite often you get those applications through those targeted emails anyway. So you'd get an email in your inbox saying, hey, Ash Vardy requires assistance with, financial model interpretation in the email, and you can just click apply straight through the email. But, sometimes we've found if people do have capacity and looking for some extra work, they might just browse and just click apply based on whether they can help out or not. So it's as simple as that, to click apply, and you can see just a brief snapshot of what the task entails. And if you require further information, you can click into the task, and then you'll get a proper sort of overview of what the task is. So you have the matter number, how long it'll take, the location in which it needs to be completed. So, if it's, for example, running something down to court, obviously you can't do that unless you're in that particular location. But if it's a financial model interpretation, sometimes it can be done remotely, and that expands the pool of eligible candidates than what it usually is when it's just, can you just go ask the 4 people who are in my team in the Melbourne office. So that's what I'll speak to that more in the posted task page. You define the team, the experience level required to complete it, and as well as the due date and time, and the description. So really, description is where you can provide a lot of the miscellaneous information related to the task. You may find that quite often you can just be like, call me in relation to get further instructions. And Evenor is really just used to identify who's available, who has a skill set to help out with a task like this. Quite often we can integrate this with your firm's communication system. So if you click this, you can facilitate a call straight through Skype or Teams, whatever your vendor is for that. And you can also, by clicking email, just email Ash straight away. Clicking on Ash will take you to her profile. And this is sort of like a LinkedIn style profile where you can put all of your previous experiences, your areas of expertise, your education, and previous tasks you've completed, which get automatically compiled. And so, like I was speaking to earlier, the more you use this platform, the greater and more robust the data set is. So it makes that targeting feature more and more accurate. So for example, if document review for class action, you can all of a sudden, if you're looking for someone who's completed a similar task in a similar experience level, we can start to suggest, Ash has actually completed this before. She's probably well placed to either help out or help the person who's actually going to complete the task. So I'll go to the post a task page now, because this is really where all the magic happens. So we do have an import task feature, which we actually created based on feedback from our clients. Sometimes they'd have just a register of work that they wanted to import, or just a lot of work they needed to get done, and they'd rather put it into like an Excel doc and then import it in bulk here. So that may or may not be applicable depending on how your firm operates. But in terms of task title, so you give it a brief title, very self-explanatory. How about we do draft a contract for M&A transaction. Give it a matter number if it's applicable. So let's just give it a random number. And then you give a description. Like I said, this is where you put really all the miscellaneous information that isn't captured by any of the other fields. So and you can fill in this to as much detail as you want. And you can attach files. Now, this attach file feature, we can also integrate with your existing document management system. So depending on what you use, Adderant or Elite, you can actually just attach a link to the actual file as opposed to a physical document, where this is really to alleviate any issues with privacy or risk. So based on whether you want to allow that feature or not, you can attach the file so that people can get a better understanding as to what the transaction involves. And the bottom half is where all the targeting happens. So this is where really like all the magic happens. So if I pick corporate, obviously it's a M&A transaction. This will only target people within the corporate team. You can also then target it even more based on subspecialisms. So, obviously it's an M&A transaction. I can actually go out and specify to only send this work request to people who also have M&A as an area of expertise. Now, it's obviously based on the discretion of the person posting the task. And this feature was created to target people with very specific experience and knowledge. So more often than not, to draft an M&A transaction, you might not even need that area of expertise. And what that will do is actually further filter and reduce the pool of available candidates. But, if it is a very bespoke work request, then you can actually hyper target it and just send it out to people who've got M&A experience, or just people who've done M&A and corporate governance. And I might add, you can select multiple. So you can, do anyone in corporate and family law if that's relevant. You can pick everything if you want, any people who've said that they're experienced in any specialism. Just for this example, I might just leave it at corporate because it seems like a task that's applicable really to anyone with any general corporate experience. And then you can specify obviously the experience level, depending on the task. So let's just say anyone with these specified as their experience level. Specify the expected duration of the work, as well as the location. So any office is really if you're able to do it remotely. And then it actually calculates all of the people within your firm that fit the requisite criteria. Now, bear in mind that this is a demo platform, only has around, I think, 20 people, but it really becomes valuable when you're trying to decide the metrics up here. You can adjust it based on this. So for example, if I put M&A, there's only one person in my firm who's an expert at M&A. And so it's probably not as valuable sending out a work request to one person through this platform. Whereas if we got rid of M&A, there's 3 people who fit the requisite criteria, and you can adjust it and play around with it based on the metrics you put in to figure out who's available to do your work. And the capacity is another thing. So you might only want to target people who are available because if you're busy or occupied, then you might not necessarily have the capacity to do the work right now, and you may be an urgent task. So we've tried to very delicately handle these feature sets with some of the requests we got. Quite often law firms and lawyers want to dictate how important their task is, but we've found that everyone thinks their task is very, very important. So that almost undermines that aspect of flagging it as important. So we instead try to determine its importance based on, well, when's it due, right? If it's due tomorrow and there's other work which is on the platform and due in a couple of days, then obviously this is more urgent, but also giving you the ability to determine your metrics and who you target, and allowing you to know how many people you can target. So yeah, if you click within an hour, end of day, end of week, it'll just pre-fill the due date. I might just post this task just for example's sake. So that's now going to send out targeted emails to those two people saying, hey, Ash Barty has just posted a task to draft, a work request for someone to help her draft the contract for an M&A transaction. In the email, it'll have the task description and all the critical information required to assess whether you're able to do the task or not. And then you can decide whether you want to apply or not. And anyone else on the platform can also decide whether they want to apply or not. Now, once an application is made, I'll get an email saying XYZ has applied to complete the task. Do you want to assign it to them? And you can do that either through the email that you receive or through the Manage Tasks button right here at the top. So here you can see all the previous tasks I've posted, as well as the live ones which are currently on the platform. So I've got two. I can see here I've got two active applications for the task to complete a financial model interpretation, and go ahead and assign it straight away from the platform or the email, like I said earlier. Now, bear in mind, once a task has been assigned, it does get taken. It does get taken off the front page from receiving applications. So if you do require more than one person, for example, to complete the task, then you'd want to wait until you are ready to assign the task over to everyone who's applied. So you can unassign it and you'll see that it's back live again, if you do require further applications to be received to get the work done. So that's the task aspect of the platform. I might just speak to, while we're here, the profile. So like I said, very intuitive, but the details you put here is what determines which emails you receive. So that's how the targeting works. So if I, have been promoted, for example, to senior associate, then I'll no longer receive emails that are only posted to lawyers. Similarly, if you've changed teams, Sydney, you can change the office. And if you've developed an expertise in M&A, for example, I can put that there. And basically what this does is, if I just go back to the people page, it'll actually update your profile. So you can see now I'm on my profile, it says I'm an expert in M&A and corporate governance, and that will then dictate how you are targeted in the back end. Quite often, what we do when we set up the platform is get a lot of this information from the HR teams. It's often available anyway, and we bulk import it. So there's really not a lot of changing to be done and fiddling around to be done right at the outset. People can just log on. The profiles will more or less be pre-filled, including, the resume aspect of things. So, we'll get this information from HR, and you can sort of start to build, like I said, that database of knowledge and experience and education and skills and whatever it may be. And all of that is fully searchable and indexed. So I'll just quickly demonstrate how that works. And that's done through the people page. And it's got obviously everyone who's on the platform within your organization, and it's searchable. So for example, as you can see, if I'm looking for someone who's worked on a royal commission before, I can go ahead and search for that, and it'll actually bring up everyone within my firm who's got royal commission in their profiles. And So that's a really easy way to identify. And this has been really valuable for teams, because sometimes you're looking for someone with a very bespoke skill area or experience, and it's really difficult to identify that if you don't have it in a centralized location. There's only, and when it's done on an ad hoc basis, it's not very scientific in nature. So we found this feature to be very valuable, and it's pretty simple to figure out. So if you then want to search for people's profiles for discrete terms, so not royal commission occurring together, but people who've got royal and commission occurring discretely within their profile. So another result is come up here. So as you can see, productivity, commission. And so because we put a comma in between, it sort of broadens the search results. And at a very base level, so if we go to this profile, as you can see, we've got some experience put in here, and you can see how valuable this can be if people do keep their profiles up to date. Quite often with the firms, what we do is do like a monthly update in bulk for everyone to sort of get an understanding and update of their resumes. And it also has all the tasks that they've completed through the platform. So for example, on Ash's profile, you can see that she's completed this task before, and we use this data to then better target the tasks we send out. So really that's at a high level how all of this works. The delegates feature and interests are catered to right at the bottom here. So from your My Profile page, if you scroll to the bottom, you can actually define who your delegates are. So in this case, Ash has Kathy and Nazia as delegates for her, which means Kathy can actually post a task on Ash's behalf, and Ash will receive any expressions of interest in her inbox, even though Kathy's posted it for her. And the interested specialism feature is really, you can, if maybe you might be a junior and you're like, I actually want to figure out what it's like to do some disputes work. And if I have some if I have a spare pocket of capacity, I'd love to see what their work is, then you can put that down as a interested specialism. And basically what that means is you won't hold yourself out to be in the disputes team or have any relevant expertise in the disputes area on your profile here, but you'll still get an oversight as to the type of work going through there. And, if the person who's posted it is happy to give you that, give you that opportunity to complete it, then you can go ahead and put your hand up and do it. So we've tried to create it so that it's applicable and generic enough so that it can be used universally between firms. And it's quite often we might have to customize it so that it aligns with the work that you do. But we've found that from a change management perspective, that it's more beneficial to keep it applicable to as many users as possible. Because even from team to team within certain firms, the way people utilize it is different. So sometimes, people like to use this capacity feature. So actually, that's something I'd forgotten. So you can actually define your capacity here. So if I am busy, I can go and be like, yep, I'm going to be busy until this Friday at 4:00. I submit that, and that's going to update my capacity on the platform to busy. And, if anyone posts a task, then I won't receive it. So we found that some teams only use that feature. They don't actually distribute work to the platform. So I guess that's a really a high level overview of the task. I'd be more than happy to run a more in-depth sort of explanation and demo for you if you're interested. We also have put together a suite of training videos. So they only last 8 minutes. So people, employees can get their head around exactly how everything works. And even if you guys are interested on understanding how maybe the nitty gritty works, you can go ahead and watch these at the URL available here. But other than that, there isn't really, anything else I want to add to that. If you are interested, please don't hesitate to contact me. I presume you can see the contact page now, Christine, but that's my number, that's the email address, and that's our website.
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
Yep.
It was really interesting to learn how Evenor's resourcing platform is breaking down silos and allowing law firms to work in a more agile and collaborative manner, increasing productivity, employee satisfaction, and providing a healthier work-life balance. If there aren't any questions, we will draw to a close. Mappa is more than happy for you to contact him after the session on the details on the screen. As you know, the Centre for Legal Innovation is very much focused on these types of webinars, this type of information sharing, collaboration and experience exchange. We are all about practical solutions. There will be many more webinars coming up in the Legal Techy Tuesday series, so don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter or Facebook for announcements. We look forward to welcoming you back to one of our events, and thank you again very much for joining us today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mappa.
Thank you.